Yeah, the COVID Commission's so-called Manufacturing Task Force draft interim report, which basically emphasises, Kieran, that gas and manufacturing are the keys to the way out, the way back for the Australian economy, and suggests some government support and underwriting to enable that, almost requests the underwriting. This leaked report shows that the National COVID Commission is planning this way back for the economy for Scott Morrison by massively opening up the domestic gas market, which it says in turn will lead to more manufacturing in Australia and create up to 400,000 jobs. We've seen in recent days Nev Power, the former head of Fortescue Metals, who is said to have his own interest in gas as a director of Strike Energy, talk up the potential for a gas pipeline from his home state of WA to the east. This report endorses that and a whole lot more, including lifting state moratoria on coal seam gas. It's a gas when it comes to this commission, Kieran. We've heard Scott Morrison talk about the potential for gas. Now it's his own commission boosting it. This report from consultants to the Commission speaks of the government underwriting in order to help get the gas industry going. It talks of lifting the CSG moratoria. Obviously, that's a matter for the states, and tax incentives for priority infrastructure. It says, if we can have a look, we need to be decisive and begin immediately to create an Australian gas market that delivers globally competitive results. Market making, it calls it, must occur. This will require underwritten volumes in the first instance, as well as whole-of-market participation in transparent pricing. There is precedent and consistency in related energy policy. They're saying that in recent years, state governments have supported infrastructure investments in renewable energy generation. So why not for gas to ensure price certainty within the market? Then they mention the federal government's underwriting new generation investment scheme set up in 2018. And the report has this: creating a competitive domestic gas market. They're calling for removing barriers to supply, building the bridge of supply in the near term, lowering the cost of pipelines, completing network of pipelines to markets. It talks of creating 85 to 170,000 of what it calls well-paid direct jobs in energy-related industries and up to 800,000 indirect jobs. Argues for underpinning growth and prosperity through 10 to 20 billion in direct GDP. Argues the government support the reskilling of many of those affected by the current pandemic and diversify the economy. Argues just 3% of the current LNG export volumes available domestically will unlock hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs. Let's have a look at where they say all these jobs can be formed. 10 to 15,000 jobs in blue steel manufacturing, they're saying. Most jobs in rural Queensland and New South Wales due to proximity of critical infrastructure. 100,000 new jobs in Mintech and rare earths. Well, that's close to Nev Power's heart. 15 to 25,000 direct jobs from petrochemicals, urea and ammonia manufacturing, food and agri-tech, health, defence and shipbuilding, energy and renewables. It also talks about or recommends a new manufacturing board to be set up under the Industry Minister to develop a 10-year policy plan on manufacturing for annual review. Quite a bit of work's gone into this. Anyway, here's Industry Minister Karen Andrews saying this isn't a report to government yet. She's a spokesman for her says the National COVID Coordination Commission established a manufacturing task force. Any suggestions made by this task force are to the NCCC for consideration and not from the government. Any final suggestions from the task force may feed into the work being done across a range of portfolios led by the Industry Minister. I guess we're talking about a major rejigging of our economy is what's on the cards. And Scott Morrison's been hinting at it, Kieran, or at least an attempt at it.
Yeah, indeed, Andrew. And this report that you've got, this manufacturing task force, is in tune, really, with the technology roadmap that we heard and we've read today from Angus Taylor, the Energy Minister. Yeah, the same day as this leaked report comes to light, the official release finally of a technology investment roadmap from Angus Taylor, the Energy Minister, a plan to reduce emissions. Lots of talk here on carbon capture and storage, the use of hydrogen as well as gas, of course. And after 2030 suggests we should look at small modular nuclear reactors if the technology's better. Also talk before 2030 of encouraging the take-up of electric cars. Bill Shorten, the former Labor leader, as we know, was torn apart for setting a target on this during the election campaign. Well,
Spoke to Angus Taylor this morning about the electric car issue and nuclear reactor issue. Here's what he had to say. On small modular nuclear reactors, we're not going to lift the moratorium at present, but we're going to watch it closely. On electric cars, Shorten decided to tell people what car to drive. We're saying, no, the only way you get an uptake is to allow people to choose to buy them because the technology works. Same sort of aim, but more of a free market approach, I guess. No mention of coal in this report. We know Taylor's been keen to extend the life of the Liddell coal-fired power station. We've spoken at length about that. And that the government has commissioned a report into the Collinsville coal-fired power station proposal in Queensland. The challenge, according to government sources, in getting those sorts of projects up is getting state governments to approve them. How much talk of nuclear and coal-fired power stations is about appeasing some gnats in the party room? Well, that's open to interpretation. Might be a lot of it in there, Kieran.